Thank you for joining us. Cariño, silence. Silence, I'll kill you! Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us on Unveiled Living. If only you could be behind the scenes right now, you would be dying laughing just as I've been laughing. Because my husband and I, he's doing the work behind the camera and I'm here in front of the camera and I'm going to start to talk and then he'll say something right when I'm doing an intro, and it's been funny because it's happened like 3 times. But I just want to be real. I want to be real here on Unveiled Living, and we're not going to omit that because this is about being real, lifting the veil and showing everything in its true colors. So what I want to talk about today is about being a mom. Okay, I know if I said that right now, there were probably many of you that would be raising your hands left and right. I'm a mom, I'm a mom, I'm a mom. So probably one of the greatest joys in my life was being a mom to my kids. I've got 3 of them, and I also had the awesome privilege of raising my nephew, help raising my nephew for about 4 years of his life, from 9th grade to 12th grade. So it's just been an absolute joy. When I was a little girl, I couldn't wait to be a mom, to have a husband, to be married, to be a wife, to have kids running around, and that whole dream. So I had that. I had 3 amazing kids. So where I want to go today is one thing that has been really pivotal in my life to be very, very much aware of, that I think sometimes we can get lost in the moment or in the seasons of life that comes our way, and we forget the power that our words have in our kids' lives. But before I jump into that, I just want to share a funny story about my kids. At one point, I think my daughter was about 1 year old, 1.5, and I had Tyler over, my nephew at the time, and Caleb, and they were both like 3.5 years old. And you can kind of get an idea of what they were like at that age, into everything. So at this one particular time, they were all playing outside. We had a dog named Noah. It's kind of like a Lassie dog. And when they, boys rambunctiously, they literally, I'm just going to say it, they like to pee everywhere. There was a little hole in our backyard and it would fill up with water. And would you know, I never knew. I'd walk out there, I'm like, man, this thing has water in it. What's up? And I'm thinking maybe it's just water coming in from the ground. No, it was actually a little little hole in the ground that Tyler and Caleb would go to and pee in it. And I never knew it. It took me years for me to figure that out. But so one particular day, I start hearing Faith crying, and she's running inside, all upset, and she's all wet. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? And she's like, I got peed on, Mommy. I got peed on. And I'm thinking, what on earth happened? Well, when the boys came inside, they did confess to what they did. They thought it would be funny that particular day to pee on our dog. And when she saw that, and knowing her, what she's like, she ran to Noah's rescue and laid her body over the dog to protect the dog. But little 3-year-olds don't know how to stop once they start, so they had to finish what they were doing, and thus they covered her in their urine. So that was so much fun to have to deal with that particular day. And of course, I'm a laughing kind of mom, so of course I definitely laughed about it, but then I also had to take care of business. We don't realize it, but every single day that we wake up and that we live our lives, our kids listen and hear everything that comes out of our mouths. They're kind of like monkey see, monkey do type of a thing. And you know that when they were young, they did a repeat, of words, that you might have said if you were always like, oh, darn it, if they would all of a sudden start saying that. And so I remember one particular time I was driving, and I never had road rage or would get upset with people, but I did realize at one point when I was driving one day and I had a little toddler in the back seat, I did actually respond to somebody. I was like, oh, you idiot, and made something, like that in those terms. And in that particular moment, I caught myself realizing that if I do that every single time, what is that teaching my child? Number one, what is that teaching them about other people and how to react? What is it teaching them about words to say that I shouldn't be saying? So in that moment, when they were little, I immediately chose to stop doing any kind of conversations like that in the car. And I think my kids now, they're all grown adults. They could actually say that they rarely ever heard me have any type of road comments down the road when everybody, if someone not ran into me, but would run in the way or, cut me off on the road. I was actually pretty quiet in my comments to them. So I want to challenge you today. How are you talking? How are you speaking? What are your kids hearing you say out of your mouth? How are you responding or reacting to them? Because that's life-changing to them. We know that in Proverbs chapter 18, it talks about our words are life and death. Literally, they bring life and they bring death. So how are you and what do your words sound like every day that you're speaking life? We're supposed to speak life into our children and into ourselves and into those people around us. So how are you talking to your kids? I remember in 2002, going through a very stressful situation in Ireland. We were missionaries at the time with my ex-husband. And I could recall everything that I was going through. It was beginning to affect my parenting. It was beginning to affect how I reacted and responded to them. And so I remember one particular day, my cute little Faith was only about 5 years old at the time, and she came running up to me, wanting to share something with me. And as she starts talking to me, I snapped at her. I snapped at her in a sense, I don't remember what I said, but I just remember snapping at her and basically telling her, not right now, I don't have time to hear what you have to say. And I can remember watching her walk away and what those words that I spoke to her, what they did. I could see what those words did to her as she walked away. I let her walk away, and in that moment, I was so convicted in my spirit by how I responded to her. It wasn't her fault that I was going through a difficult season in my life. That had nothing to do with her. So I had to begin to learn to disassociate that whatever trials I might be going through, my kids don't deserve to go through it as well. And I had to learn how to make that divide and that separate place so that I could protect them, so that I don't react and respond to them just because mom's going through a hard time. So in that moment, when I reflected and I asked the Lord to forgive me, I called her back probably within 5 to 10 minutes. And I asked her to forgive me. And of course she did. You know how kids are. They're so incredibly forgiving. I asked her to forgive me. And then from there I said, listen, mommy is going through a difficult time right now. So I'm not always, in a good place to want to be able to listen to what you have to say. So how about we do this? I said, how about if mommy's not in a really good mood at that time? How about mommy just says, and I'll say it kindly, mommy's in a grumpy mood right now. Can you come and tell me a little bit later? And she was like, great idea. She loved the idea. And we went with it. And I told my other kids so that they knew that if mommy was having a moment and I just wasn't quite ready to talk, I would rather be honest with them and just tell them, I'm just not able to talk right now, but I will. Than for me to snap at them and then for me to grow discourse in their lives, which is not what I needed to do. So now as they're adults, it's actually become a joke and a funny memory when we talk about mommy is grumpy right now. But you know what? It worked. And it protected me from reacting to my kids in a way that I wasn't supposed to. I want to read the scripture for you right here. It's in Proverbs. And it's 11:17. And it says this, and listen deeply. Your own soul is nourished when you are kind, but you destroy yourself when you are cruel. Proverbs 11:17. I want to read that again because that's deep. Your own soul is nourished when you are kind, but you destroy yourself when you're cruel. So think about this. When you're speaking into your kids' lives and you're having a really difficult day, remember that the way that you choose to speak to others around you feeds your soul as well. If you react in hate and anger and discourse, that's what you're feeding yourself as well. So remember how important words are, not just to your children, but to your own life. Be inspired today that no matter what you're going through, if you feel like you've had a lot of grumpy seasons lately and you've not responded well to your kids, go and ask them for your forgiveness. Ask them to forgive you for how you've reacted and responded. And know that they'll forgive you, and then do the most important thing that they need to see. Show them that you can change. Show them that you can not react. Because they need you, especially in the days we're living in now. They need you more than ever. And more than ever, they need our words of kindness. They need our words to uplift them, to bring life into their spirit. Because we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, this world is not speaking that into their lives. This world is speaking that they don't matter, that their value is of nothing. So we as moms, we've been given a position in their lives to speak life, speak kindness, and watch their lives reiterate what you speak into their lives. If this has encouraged you in some way, let us know. Put a comment below. We would love to hear from you. You can send us an email at unveiledlivingministries@gmail.com. And know we're in this together. All of us moms, we can do this together. Because why? Because God is our King. He is our Father. And as long as we go to His Word, He will give us the strength and the power to make it through every single day. See you next time.